So that achievement target is what you're going to shoot at this afternoon. Then you have on the back of that a review form. This review form needs to say excellent all the way across. Frank was awesome. Okay? And then your email, so I can send you a request for a Google review. That would be fantastic. Okay. You have in the binder in the middle the 3 most important rules of gun safety. The next page is tax collectors' offices that do or will do very soon the walkthrough application, which once you finish this class you have to actually apply for a concealed weapons license. What you're earning here today is a certificate so that you can do that. Okay? Volusia County should start by June according to what I hear from them. But you have Flagler County, you have Marion County, and you have Seminole County. You can go in person and apply. You sit at a computer, they take your picture, they take your fingerprints, and you pay them 120 bucks. Okay? And then you sit at home and wait for it. I'll give you a tracking number. The other way to do it would be the next page. If you're going to mail in the application, which is that white envelope that you have, that application, yes, that has a fingerprint card in it. You have to go have fingerprints done, and you have to have a passport photo that attaches to the application that's inside it. Okay? If you're going to do it by mail, I recommend this place to do your fingerprints and your photo because it's only 10 bucks, but you do have to set an appointment with them. Okay? You have their phone number and address. The next page, for those of us, not me, that have a medical marijuana card, there's this misconception that you can't have both. There is nothing in the law that says that you can. Okay? If you are a legal medical user of marijuana, there's no reason why you can't have a concealed weapons permit. As a matter of fact, the, what's her name, Nikki Fried?
Yep, Nikki Fried.
She has both. And she's the one that signs your license. Okay? Do I recommend smoking marijuana while using your gun? No. And then the last page is 15 questions we're going to go over at the end of the class. Everybody has to get them right or I keep your certificate. Okay? That's not true because your certificate is already in your folder. All right? A little prayer. Heavenly Father, I ask that you bless this class and these students. In Jesus' name, amen. Make it short and sweet. My name is Frank. I'm an NRA instructor and firearms dealer. This course provides you with the state of Florida required certificate to apply for your Florida concealed weapons license. It's valid in 36 other states with certain restrictions. Obviously, you got to know where you're going and what their particular laws are. When I say valid, it doesn't mean that you can just walk in there and say, I'm licensed in this state to carry a gun. No, it's reciprocal. So, every state has different rules. If you become an USCCA member, you get access to all that information. Okay? This course is not NRA certified. Why is it not NRA certified? I am an NRA certified instructor. But the concealed weapons class for the NRA is an 8 to 10 hour course. Costs around 200 bucks. And I'm pretty sure none of you want to pay that. And I honestly don't want to stand here for 10 hours. State of Florida doesn't require it, so I opted to do this class instead. Okay? The 3 most important rules of gun safety. Number 1, treat every firearm as if it's loaded. Keep your finger off the trigger until ready to fire. Never point your firearm at something you don't intend to destroy. We need to keep this in mind today when we're shooting. Those 3 rules are important. Okay? There's going to be a safe direction that I'm going to point at. It's going to be the firing wall outside. You're only going to aim the gun in that direction. So between shots, if you feel that you need to make any corrections, make sure that the gun stays aimed in that direction. Okay? Always keep always keep one in the chamber, or all you'll have is a very expensive rock. And always use defense ammo for carrying. We'll talk more about defense ammo down the line in the class, but it's very important that you never use practice ammo for self-defense. And we'll talk more about that later. Did you hear the one about the smart CCW carrier? You see, this class is fun, so, you know, we try to, he was loaded, okay? So always keep one in the chamber. Having a magazine in your pistol, if that's what you're going to carry, is not enough. You literally have 3 seconds to make the decision, get your gun and fire. And before firing, you've got to aim. So that's another thing you're adding to the task, right? You don't have time to have a magazine, a pistol that has just a magazine, which yes, has ammo in it, but is not loaded or chambered. You will not have time to save your life from attack. Even really, really good shooters don't have time. Okay? As a nation, we're in deep shape. I can teach you techniques to protect yourself and your family with a concealed firearm. Your commitment gets you the rest of the way. What you need to do is be prepared. If you don't have the right information, it won't matter how often you practice, you're going to become very good at doing things wrong. What you need are the right techniques to practice, and practice a lot. That'll make you become very good at doing it right, okay?
Frankie, can you go back one slide? I have to take that picture real quick. Oh my goodness. I love it. Hang on one second. I see. Okay.
The rest is up to you. I can show you some techniques to practice. If you learn 50% of what this class is designed to teach, I've done my job. With practice and discipline, you'll become proficient. Practice and discipline. Owning a gun is not enough. You could own 26 guns. They're not going to defend you if you don't use them. Okay? So, a lot of people buy a gun for safety and then they grab it and they put it in their safe. Never pull it out to fire. The time comes that it's needed. They don't know what to do. Not all guns are the same. Some have safeties, some have trigger safeties, slide safeties, external safeties, decockers, all kinds of things. If you have a gun, you need to learn how to use it, and the only way to do that is to practice. Okay? So once a month, twice a month, once a week is preferable. You don't have to shoot 100 shots. Make sure that every shot counts. Find a target. Shoot that target. Take advantage of every round that you fire. Check your grip. Align your targets. Focus on your front sight. Find the wall on the trigger before the break. All these things are going to make you a better shooter. And with time, you'll be able to do rapid fire, but you don't really need to do that. What you need to do is protect yourself. Okay? Can you read these rules for me?
Sure. 3 most important rules. Number 1, treat every weapon as if it is loaded. Number 2, always keep your finger off the trigger until ready to fire. Number 3, never point your firearm at something you don't intend to destroy.
Thank you, Andrew. Buy the right gun. Buy the right holster. Carry naturally. Use defense ammo. Does anybody have any questions on what that means? Buy the right gun. As I was saying earlier, every gun is different. Not within the same brand and model, but between brands and models, you have guns that have different grips. They might be longer, they might be thicker, they might be thinner, they might be wider, front to back. A good example is the Ccw. Nice little pistol, very inexpensive. The grip is not too wide, but it is super long front to back. My wife, it's a small pistol, she can't wrap her hand around that grip. Not a good grip for my wife. So that gun is not a good gun for her, not the right one. Once you choose the gun that you want to get a holster that belongs to that gun. That's just something that the gun fits in, right? You want to make sure that the trigger guard is covered. You want to make sure that when the gun is in the holster, it's locked in. Like, for example, this one, you see, you hear the click? If I don't pull it hard enough, it won't come out, right? So that's the right holster for the gun. Carry naturally. If you do the first 2 things correctly, that third one falls in line by itself. Carry naturally is basically, it can't bother you to have the gun on. If you feel any kind of pain or any pinching or any of that stuff, you're not carrying naturally. You're going to be constantly adjusting your gun. You don't want to do that, okay? And again, use defense ammo, which we'll talk about more later. USCCA membership, guys, this is very important. Just for being here today, you get a free raffle ticket to our yearly gun giveaway. It's held December the 9th at 3 p.m. I have 2 gun giveaways. One of them is for my students and one of them is for my customers, okay? If you want to become a customer on the loyalty program, all you have to do is go and buy stuff. I'll give you a card. When you're done spending $1,000, you get 10 punches. So it's basically you come in and spend $100, you get a punch. When you're done filling the card, you get 50% off a box of ammo or a case of ammo, whichever one you want, okay? Plus you get a free raffle ticket for the customer giveaway, all right? So just for being here today, you get 1 free ticket. If you join the USCCA, I'm going to give you 2 more tickets. That's 2 more chances to win, okay? And we have USCCA here, Paul Benfield, his wife Erica. Guys, Erica is running for office. Okay, so maybe you want to say something too while you're here.
Sure. So I'm also a business owner, and I'm here because I support Frankie. We need more small business owners, and it's tough being a small business owner during this economic time. I'm a former vice mayor here in Volusia County. I served on our economic board, and as he mentioned, I'm running for Congress. There's an open seat that will include Seminole County and extend all the way to New Smyrna Beach. So I'm here as a spectator. I'm here to support him, and I thank you for that plug. It was not intentional. So thank you.
You're welcome. You deserve that and more. Paul.
I appreciate it. As you can see, I married up, guys. So, but all seriousness, my name is Paul Benfield. I'm a licensed agent with Delta Defense. Now, Delta Defense, we're the service provider for the United States Concealed Carry Association, also known as the USCCA. Frank had me come out here and talk to all of his students. I do this for other instructors as well. And we talk to you about the additional education, the continuous education training that you need. Frank knows it's important that you get that continuous education training and also the legal resources to defend yourself. Like Frank alluded to, he's a great instructor, but he's not going to be able to teach you everything you need to know in a few hours. He's going to give you some fundamentals, but you need to make the commitment to get that continuous education training. So, before we get started, has anybody here heard of the United States Concealed Carry Association or the USCCA before you got here today? Nobody? All right, I got a job to do. So, the USCCA is a national training organization. They have over 640,000 members across the country. They provide you with the education, the training, the tools, and the resources to make sure that you're mentally prepared, physically prepared, and legally prepared when you need to defend yourself. USCCA has 2 missions. They want to prepare you before you pull the trigger, or help prepare you. They want to protect you after you pull that trigger. Okay? To date, the USCCA has helped save over 158,000 lives. It's a great organization. Now let me ask you something. In fact, I want you to raise your hand if you came here today to become a responsibly armed American. Good. Everybody's paying attention. We all strive to be responsibly armed Americans, right? But here's the truth of the matter. There's a lot of gun owners in the United States that doesn't necessarily mean they're responsible armed Americans. You have to make the commitment to get that continuous education and training, and also the legal resources, which we'll talk about in a minute, to defend yourself if you're ever in a self-defense situation. Okay? Now, have you guys ever heard the old saying, the body can't go where the mind hasn't been? Ever heard that? Well, if you think about it, it means you have to start by being mentally prepared, right? Mental preparation is about gaining knowledge. The more knowledge you get, the more education and training you get, the better prepared you're going to be. Well, the USCCA, they've developed a members-only learning system. It's called the Protector Academy. It's everything from basic firearms to advanced scenario-based training. So it's got something for the beginners and also for the people that are looking for advanced tactics. Anybody have an idea what I mean by advanced scenario-based training? Andrew?
You're a police officer, so work with the police or something like that?
So advanced scenario-based training, I'll give you an example. So they've got a series called the Proving Grounds inside the Protector Academy where they're setting up different scenarios. One of the scenarios is you're in a coffee shop having coffee with your wife, gunman enters, What do? Situational awareness is key. Are you facing the threat, or is your back facing the door? Have you scanned the nearest exits? Do you know where the nearest blockade is? Are you going to have time to react? These are the kind of things that you'll learn inside Protector Academy, and these are the kind of things that you've got to think about moving forward. Okay? Being mentally prepared is not enough, though. You also need to be physically prepared. Anybody have an idea what this is? It's not a toy. This is a yellow training pistol. It's the equivalent weight and feel of a Glock 17. Okay? Inside Protector Academy, there are dry fire drills. Tons and tons of dry fire drills that you can do so you can work on the fundamentals like Frank was talking about. So you can work on your grip, your draw, your aim. You know, once you get those managed, then you just have to manage the recoil. You know, that's about 80% of it. Those fundamentals, grip, draw, aim, you need to work on those. Dry fire training is super important. 30 minutes of dry fire training is equivalent to going to the range and shooting 100 shots. Okay? But it's a lot cheaper because ammo is expensive. Right? Dry fire training is so important. What do you think Navy SEALs do when they know they're going to be deployed to a live firefight situation? They spend hours in the evenings in their homes doing dry fire training, getting prepared. Dry fire training. So, education, training, practice. Guys, there's a huge difference in knowing how to shoot a gun. Everybody thinks they know how to shoot a gun. And being able to actually have accuracy in a live firefight, stressful situation. Here's a fact. What do you think the average police officer, how many shots do you think they shoot at the range a year? Anybody? It's going to astound you.
5,000.
I said thousands.
The average police officer, 20 to 30.
Wow.
Not 20 to 30,000, 20 to 30 shots.
That's it?
That's it. 20 to 30 shots. I heard that from a very reliable source in Volusia County.
You remember what I was telling you? You go to the range to practice, it's not about shooting 200 shots. It's about every shot counting.
But 20 to 30 shots, what do you think their accuracy level in a live firefight situation is? What do you think their hit level is? 2 to 3%. 2 to 3%. These are trained individuals. What's it going to be for you and I? You know, education, training, continuous practice, practice, practice. These skills that you're going to learn, they're perishable. If you don't continue to use them, you're going to lose them. Okay? Most importantly, you need to be legally prepared. Okay? Legal preparation is all encompassing. It starts with the education and training like you can get from the Protector Academy. Okay? But you also need to know your state gun laws. When and where you can carry, and act in accordance with the law. But even the best education and training doesn't mean you're off the hook. Let me give you a scenario. Bad guy breaks your house, 3 o'clock in the morning. You run downstairs, half asleep, and you shoot him. What happens next? Police get called, right? You get handcuffed. You get arrested. Taken downtown, interrogated. Weapons get confiscated. You're going to need an attorney. What do you think an attorney costs? A good defense attorney that knows, expert witnesses and folks like that. In a shooting case, national average. Anybody?
$800 an hour.
$60,000 to $120,000
Retainer.
Just to get that attorney to take the case.
They won't take your case unless you put in a retainer.
Right.
That means your house, bye.
And what about this? What about, so the bad guy that you just shot thinks he's got a family? Think one of these billboard attorneys are itching to take that case? You bet your bottom dollar they are. 100%. So yeah, that family could sue you for shooting that bad guy that broke in your house. Now, you might not even be carrying your gun. That can happen to you. Well, what about this? You got your gun in your purse, your car, your house. somebody breaks in, steals your gun, goes out, shoots somebody. Gun's registered in your name, right? One of the billboard attorneys are going to be looking for you. They certainly are. They're going to basically try to prove that you were negligent in the way you stored that gun. Guys, owning a gun is a big deal. Carrying a gun is a much bigger deal. And if you ever have to pull your gun and shoot somebody, it's going to be the biggest deal of your life. I can guarantee. Okay? So, here's the good news. When you become a member of the USCCA, you're going to have some protection. You'll be an added insured on the self-defense liability insurance policy issued to the USCCA. What that means is for covered incidents, there is no limit for defense expenses for civil and criminal court. So that retainer is taken care of. Okay? Nothing out of your pocket. $2 million annual liability limit for civil damages awarded in a civil case. So if you get sued, it's taken care of. $100,000 cost of bail, which in the state of Florida equates to $1 million bond. So if you need to get bailed out of jail, incidentally, in a shooting case, the bond is typically $1 million. Okay? Up to $10,000 for incidental expenses. Incidental expenses would be something like biohazard cleanup or replacement of those confiscated guns. Okay? Also, up to $750 a day for lost wages. That's the power and the confidence you get by being a member of the USCCA. You get the education and training that you get from the Protector Academy, continuous education training, they're always updating it, and the legal resources to defend yourself if you're in a self-defense situation. Now, when you're in a situation, there's a number on the back of your membership card. It goes to a critical response team. They're available 24/7, 365 days a year. They don't even take off for Christmas. Okay? They're going to get you in touch with your attorney,
I keep mine close to mine.
or one of 1,200 of the best defense attorneys in the USCCA Attorney Network. Okay?
How
Yes.
much does all this cost to join?
Oh, I'm gonna get into that in a second.
Oh,
It's
I
like
had it.
it's less than a bucket. It's like less than a bucket a day. So yeah. All right. So they'll get you in touch with your attorney or one of 1,200 defense attorneys in the Attorney Network. Now, they also give you post-incident instructions. What to say to 911 operator? Why do we not want to say somebody's broken my house and I shot him to the 911 operator?
They do.
And that call's recorded, right? Absolutely, absolutely. So what to say to the 911 operator and what to say to the police when they arrive, okay? Now, you asked a great question. If you all got handouts here. If you look at the first page, or the insert in your handout, you're going to see there are 3 levels of membership. You got gold, platinum, and elite. Now, all 3 levels provide you with the same insurance benefit. It doesn't matter if it's gold, platinum, or elite. The difference is the level of education and training that you get. Now, you can join as a member today of the gold for $29 if you don't want a lot of education and training. You get about 13 lessons. Platinum, which is what I recommend. Platinum or elite, you get over 100 lessons in the platinum, over 200 lessons with the elite. Everything the USCCA offers.
And where do you go for these lessons?
So all these lessons, they're all online. You can access your smartphone at your leisure or on your computer. And it's hundreds of hours of additional education and training.
And I'm going to add this. I've taken a few of the lessons, even though I didn't need to. I'm going through them. They are basically broken down so that a kid can understand.
Oh, yeah.
They're very well put together.
Yeah.
So let's say, for example, you have one of the beginner's lessons is about 25 minutes, but it's like 15 3-minute videos. So you can concentrate on one thing at a time. It's not like you're having this bunch of stuff thrown at you at once. The way they do it is really, really good.
But they're all online, there's no.
Yes, they're all
It's all
online.
online.
They're all
So there's
online.
no, the live fire training that you're talking about, or the advanced situations that.
No, but you can take what you learn online, if you pay attention, you have the ability to watch it again and again and again, as opposed to paying for a class that you're gonna go to once, right? So you have that ability, and then you pay attention to that, and you can take that and use it in the field. You know what I mean? Which is great.
Okay, thank you.
So let me tell you a little bit more about the insurance. Okay, so the insurance, it's not just for Florida. You're covered in all 50 states, Puerto Rico, Guam, and the Virgin Islands. Members that live in your household, they're covered while in the household. Let me repeat that. They are covered while in the household. They get out in the Publix, they're not covered, but they are covered while in the household. Okay? Also, the self-defense liability insurance. That's exactly what it is, self-defense liability insurance. It's not just for guns, any legal form of self-defense. Okay? A couple more benefits that you get when you join as a member. You're going to get a subscription to Concealed Carry Magazine. This is an award-winning magazine. I believe they do 8 issues a year. And it's got some great articles in it. You're also going to receive, Frank has a gun giveaway, but USCCA does too. They want you logged in Protector Academy. So they are giving a gun away a day valued at $1,500. Okay?
Yeah, they got
Every
more
day.
than I could.
Every day you log in Protector Academy, you get entered in that daily gun giveaway. Okay? Additionally, you're going to get industry partner discounts like 6 Hour. There's dozens and dozens of industry partners that the USCCA gives additional discounts to. Okay? A couple of discounts I want you to know about as far as that goes. You can sign your spouse up today for 50% off. They get the same membership as you, an equal membership as you, their own membership, for 50% off. Okay? Also, if you're a first responder or military, you check a box, you get 10% off. Now, let me tell you why I recommend you sign up on the Platinum Elite. When you sign up on the Platinum Elite, I've got 10 of these out there in the car. You're leaving with an ammo can. The ammo can has got some cool goodies in it. You're going to get a USCCA hat. Okay? You're going to get a Born to Protect patch. Okay? Put on your range pack. You're also going to get your own yellow training pistol. Okay? Simulation of the Glock 17. So you can work on those dry fire drills like we talked about. Additionally,
When you say, you're saying dry, D-R-Y?
dry fire drills, yeah.
Fire or dry?
Dry fire drills,
Dry fire.
yes.
I'm gonna teach you a drill to practice later, but it's only one that I'm gonna teach you. They have multiples that they teach.
Yeah.
Okay?
This is a USB bullet that has additional dry fire training that you'll be able to access and work in conjunction with the dry fire training pistol. You're going to get 10 drills to improve your shooting skills. This is a great booklet. I think, Frank, you've already looked through this.
Yes.
It's a great booklet to really help you with your shooting skills, help you track your progress. You're also going to get your temporary membership card. Your permanent card will be mailed to you in a few days. Okay? Permanent card like the one Frank showed you, like the one I've got right there. Now, that's if you join as a platinum or an elite member, get that additional education training. But you can upgrade, you can downgrade your membership at any time. Okay? Now, here's the really cool thing. The USCCA is giving you a 365-day money-back guarantee. You have 365 days to try this out. 365 days to get that education and training. Have the legal resources should you need them. Okay? If you decide that you need to cancel, call the USCCA up. They will give you 100% full refund every penny that you paid it. It doesn't matter if it's monthly or annually. Okay? Now, really, there is really more risk in not signing up for a membership. Let me ask you something. You drove here in a car, right? Why do we have car insurance? The unknowns. The guy that sideswipe you when you pull out of here. You know, why do we have homeowners insurance? The unknowns. The hurricane that can come in any time during hurricane season. Do yourself a favor. get the education and training. Do not own a gun or carry a gun without having some sort of insurance protection. It's too risky.
You mentioned home insurance. Does anybody know what happens if there's a hurricane or a tornado that knocks down your house and you're insured? Does anybody know what happens?
They don't pay much.
Well, the state of Florida has raised your deductibles for natural disasters.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Why? Because of Andrew and all those other things. So you're paying all this insurance and you're still not 100% covered.
It's awful.
I don't know, it's awful.
So this is not that, right? The other thing I wanted to mention, there's a meme going around on Facebook. I don't know if you guys have seen it, right? So the meme has two pictures in it. And the top picture is like the gasoline station prices, right? And somebody saying, "My God," with a sad or mad, angry face. The lower picture is a Starbucks coffee cup costing $9, twice as much as a gallon of gas. And they're super happy to pay for the damn coffee. Humanity has just completely lost their mind, right?
It is.
So, I mean,
But,
when you start putting things in perspective, this is a really good value. You may never use it. As a matter of fact, I hope and pray that you never do. Because that means that you never got in trouble. But if you do, and you have it, my recommendation is move forward with it. That's my recommendation. I'm your teacher, you should listen. Bye.
Okay, so signing up is super simple. There's two ways you can sign up. Under store range, you want to put Firearms. Decide what level you want to sign up on. Would it be Gold, Platinum, Elite? Doesn't matter if it's monthly or annually. You save some money if you do annually, but you can sign up monthly. And like I say, you've got 365 days basically to try it out. Platinum and Elite, you're going to get basically all the training aids and everything. And you can sign up by filling out the information or using the QR code with your phone. Okay, we've allotted time for everybody to go ahead and sign up. So yeah, just let me know who's signing up, who's getting ammo cans and everything.
And while you're doing that, use one of the pens and fill out your ticket that I gave you. And let me know if you are signing up so I can give you 2 more tickets.
do you have any pens?
Yeah, we got. I got pens.
Who wants a pen?
Always have them in color, pen, first and whatever. And then glasses.
You want a pen?
Thank you.
Sure.
What's that? You need glasses? I just need you to please fill out.
I got clipboards in our car.
Yeah, I think they need something.
Any clipboards?
Huh?
I don't know if I'm gonna be carrying.
Hey, that's fine. You understand that it works even if you don't get it.
I think it's great.
Absolutely, you guys, this is your choice to do or not,
Yes.
you know?
Yeah,
but-
absolutely. No, you covered, like in all 50 states, Puerto Rico, Guam, Virgin Islands, anywhere. It's not
You
like.
guys are filling out.
Training help.
Which training on them?
I just want it wherever I want to practice, you know.
So I offer training, but again, it's gonna be 1 2-hour class with me that you're gonna get once for $200.
Yeah, I think.
That's the
I think
difference.
these clipboards.
You're gonna pay me $200 so that I can give you as much information as I can in 2 hours, one time, and that's one time that I can offer to do it for you. Unless you wanna pay me again $200, and then again $200. You know, it's a lot of cost that goes into actual training that is really needed. When you have a program like this one that offers 200 courses, if you sign up for the Elite, you have a lot of value that's being, provided to you. So, again, you don't have to do this today,
No, I'm not gonna do it today, but I
Okay.
definitely
You
do
got
it.
to sign up for membership.
yeah.
I'm gonna think about it right now.
I do want to mention.
You have
I just wanna mention
365 days.
That's what it looks like, because I've had to do ethics class every year, and I was like, oh my gosh, can I go to the bathroom, can I do anything, and I couldn't stop in the middle of it. So he mentioned how it breaks it down, it stays where you are,
Exactly.
and as you move up
So the
achievements, you
so
go
the
to him, and he
USCCA,
gives you
first of all,
a
they
patch
have a-
for each
they have a
level
bunch,
you achieve.
Better
So it goes back to your instructor.
and they have.
Um,
Wake everybody up.
You guys are definitely not ready for an attack here.
Was that your ringtone?
and the sheriff uses
So the
a
USCCA
simulation
has
that's required, they have to
more
do,
training and
I
education.
think it's like
But
40
they
hours
basically
a
it's the
year.
same thing.
And Paul and I got to
Definitely.
try the simulator, and they use a CO2 gun.
Mhm.
So maybe they don't go to the range to shoot as much as you would think.
Well,
But
the state of
every,
Florida-
Oh, I didn't even look at that.
every deputy is required to go through
Sorry, that's pretty bad.
hours
They
of
don't have, they
training.
don't have as good coverage.
Yeah. So they shoot a CO2 gun to practice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
How long has it been in existence?
And we tried it,
See it.
and I died in the movie theater scenario.
25 years.
Because there was someone in the front seat.
640,000
I
members.
thought,
Well,
well,
I didn't know, I've never heard of it.
And I
Yeah.
put my gun back, and then Paul shot
my
for me, but I was like, what the hell, you just never
Get rid of the
know
body.
who is the bad guy, you think you know who the bad guy is, so that's what they mentally do to prepare the officers. He mentioned that Captain Bosco told how much
Better-
actually
well,
are
it's not-
required
it's-
to minimum, but they do it on their
No, that's so
own.
true.
But the dry fire part
And
is
you and I-
a simulator that's like
Better make
almost
sure
360,
They
Yeah.
it's pretty cool,
That's awesome.
but you're sweating, I mean, you're like,
prove that you're
you
like.
know,
Yeah,
anxiety.
sure.
So,
If somebody if somebody breaks your house and they're running out the door with your TV.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the
I think about
scenario,
stuff like that.
scenario just like that is what the
Oh,
Protective Academy does,
absolutely.
they like have people walking through the parking lot, and then what do? Well, the officers
That is
want
one
in
of the
Volusia
mis,
County,
that is one of the
they
most
had one
misinterpreted
where
laws
I'm in
in the state of Florida. It's
a
castle.
field,
People
with
think, oh,
fence,
these are my property, I can
and there's
shoot
a
them.
guy with a
No,
gun
you
on a
can't.
lady,
You
and
know,
then
they better have a weapon.
somehow, you know, you
They
do
better
your
prove
stop
that
or
your
I'll
life's in
shoot, the
danger.
guy
And I'm
leaves,
gonna tell you,
I'm walking towards
judges
the lady
and
thinking
DAs, they
she's
are
the
Same race.
victim, then
when
she
it comes
takes
to
the
shooting
needle and
kids.
starts to stab me, and I'm like, what the heck? So it put me in that moment of, you're just,
It's a ruse, you know, they're used all the time by criminals, ruses are used all the time. Like, they'll take a kid and put him in the middle of the road, and the kid is in it, and he's part of the ruse. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you're stopping in the middle of the road, all of a sudden you get out of the car, this kid, oh my God, defenseless child, and somebody comes out of the woods that is the one that put the kid there to start with, and then all of a sudden hijack.
I heard, yeah,
the
I
shot
heard
was
about it,
gun
I heard
training,
about
that
it, yeah.
was used in gun
Yeah.
training.
There's your deal.
It's a crazy world.
She should have stayed in the house,
Problem there.
just shut up and just waited.
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
Yeah, there's so many different scenarios that actually happen, and a lot of them aren't used in training, but a lot of them aren't. You know? Because it's impossible to think of every
Unless someone's,
possible
you know,
thing.
breaking
And look,
my bedroom door down and my.
Criminals are
personal
stupid
life
because of what they
and
do.
safety, that is when I shoot.
But the
Because
thing
they're
is-
smart enough to do it,
Take
but not smart enough to
If you
make
guys
money.
wanna learn, if you guys wanna learn more
They're
about
not stupid by far.
Firearms.
They create
firearm
these,
safety and how to handle a
they
firearm,
have these ideas
I recommend.
that if they were to use them
Anal.
for good, they would make some difference.
Sign up for a couple months and then cancel it.
But no, they don't do that, so we still have to be prepared because they're not stupid by far.
Yeah. Well, then get one membership and vote.
So I have some pictures of the room, I haven't been in it yet, and,
I thought it was in the.
I still
It's
have-
a spouse, it's 50% for spouse, yeah.
It's
So
fine.
we don't get it.
Yeah.
No.
I still have
But
to
it covers. what it
re-stain the
has.
walls,
But
because
if you
I
guys,
love it like this.
when I took
it
it
comes,
down,
it comes to your
a lot of
house.
this was
So I'm
a
in-
I had another room exactly like this building, but
So get,
it was starting
So get
to
one membership.
leak and stuff like that, so I just
No,
ran
it's
the whole
really
thing.
nice.
and
So
then-
we
Any
cover
other
shoot somebody
class
else.
location
Right.
on the land?
Cover the
Is
shoot.
no
Correct.
right now, so you guys got like the best
No.
of it.
Thank you.
I
I'm
don't
just
even go
telling
into
you,
that
I'm just
class
saying, if
because
you're- if
it's
you're
so
an
small
you're gonna
that,
love
you
the
know, I don't
information
need to go in there.
Yeah, no, she
It's
showed me
really
quickly
nice.
on the app. what
You're
it
the
looks like,
Cadillac.
so.
So we can get away with one membership.
yeah, yeah.
And split it.
And-
That's not so bad.
Start, see how it is, and then,
Firearms,
Get the ammo can.
and just, I like the practice.
And the gun.
Who's signing up for platinum or elite? You sign up for elite, okay. I'll get an ammo can there,
The 20 mil.
Yeah, unless you do.
and sign up for
you can
platinum.
keep the pen.
Okay, got email addresses, okay,
So,
all right.
platinum. Did you do the platinum? Did you get the
Yep.
ammo box?
Yep, platinum or elite.
Okay.
Erica, can you bring me 3 platinums?
Sure.
Oh, 3, here, Erica, you need keys.
I thought I would reach. Okay.
So while you guys are finishing, just hear me out, I'm gonna keep doing a couple slides here. You don't have to take your attention off what you're doing, just listen to me in the background. A Democrat, a Republican, and a CCW carrier walk into a bar. Which one committed a crime?
Easy, buddy.
The concealed weapons carrier committed a crime by walking into a place of nuisance with a weapon. Place of nuisance is a bar, a strip joint, any one of those places. Even if you have a concealed permit, you are not allowed to walk into one of those places with your gun, okay? That's a very important rule to keep in mind. You can have your gun in your car. You can drink in the place of nuisance. Walk out to your car, buzzed, drunk. If somebody attacks you, you're allowed to defend yourself, but do not carry that gun into the bar. Okay?
Yeah.
Joanne, I know that you like to get tipsy sometimes.
I do.
No, but
Just had a
seriously,
guy a couple weeks ago shot somebody at Barton.
where's that?
I think it was in the land. Or I think it was.
The thing is that there's a shooting every day, and it's kind of hard to keep track, so.
It is, but it's a bar, so I didn't think they ever mentioned the bar name.
Well, I used to own a bar. I used to own El Molino in Deltona.
Okay.
And it was a restaurant and bar. And I actually,
Pretty sure.
Is that where, I couldn't remember.
Yeah.
Like him.
I had a guy, this was back 15 years ago, I had a guy walk in 17 years ago, in 2005. He walked in with his concealed permit and his concealed gun. I only found out because I happened to be in the bathroom when he went in to use it.
Oh, wow.
And when he lifted up his shirt to undo his pants to pee, I could see his badge and I could see his gun. And I look at the badge and it says concealed weapon. I said, hey, buddy, So I called the cops and I got him out of the bar. I ended up having to go to court on it and the guy was convicted. Guess what he didn't have?
Gun anymore, because you're weapons.
Any kind of insurance. He didn't have SCCA, he didn't have
That's not
anything.
good.
Yeah,
You shot him.
Frankie, the first scenario he talked about, I have an intern in Winter Springs last year.
Okay.
Mom was
My
single,
information's right.
they were driving on the road, and road rage happened.
Yeah.
She reached for her purse, but she claimed she didn't take the gun out, you know, she was just driving.
But you know.
They called and said that she
She
didn't
didn't
have any
anyone
gun.
public.
They handcuffed her, and she was speaking to
Yeah, problems with
5
phones,
years
obviously.
because they called
There
911 for her, she couldn't drive it out.
In Miami, two
And
guys were.
it was a road rage
they were
situation,
for
true
license
story.
plate, and they
Yeah,
got
they
into an
have.
altercation.
And I thought, when it came to the judge portion of it,
Basically,
they
the gun
dismissed
out
the
of his
case,
waistband.
but that whole
And shut
experience, you know, being put in a car without air
That's in
conditioning.
Publix.
There's another.
Very, and they didn't just send one police officer, they sent several. I mean, it made
Oh, I
it
know.
very
Yeah.
scary.
Miles and the guy gets out and shoots him. How do you cover that? Same thing.
I mean, it doesn't matter, it's not in the house, it's your anywhere.
And guys, bad guys have rights.
If you're a member,
Mhm.
if you're
More than
living in
that.
the house.
Well, when you think about it, yeah, because we
Does that make
don't, we try to live a good life, we try not to
live
commit
house.
crimes, we try
So I'm just covering the
On
not
the
to
property.
on the problem.
That's pretty
do the
fine.
things that they do, but
That's the mailbox.
even though they do them, I mean, they could actually,
Okay.
Have a
I'm gonna say
defense
the platinum and-
in which
What store?
their occupation is listed as thief.
Put fat firearms.
And be defended in court with that occupation. And since that occupation can potentially get them, I don't know, $3 million over the next 10 years,
To, like,
you could be responsible for replacing the $3 million that they're not gonna get because you shot them in the leg when they went into your house.
There's up to 3
You
qualifications.
see what I'm saying? And that's $3 million that they were gonna steal,
Like,
and you could be responsible for that.
there's a badge.
Okay? That's why, yeah,
You
lost
have to
wages.
go back and
Exactly.
see an instructor like Frank.
You think I'm kidding?
No, I,
It's true.
great.
That's why it's important to have this stuff, so
Yep.
really, I just advise you to think about it over the next few days, month, or whatever, but
So make
you know,
sure I
when you
got
become a
a
member,
little
use
email.
Fat Firearms.
You're gonna get an, you're gonna
They're gonna
get
give
an
me,
email.
I get a free membership for you guys.
Yeah, I will, for sure.
for any
Have
reason.
you seen the video of the guy on
Okay.
Facebook who does like the
That's it.
defense stuff, like he's in the car, somebody points a gun, and he like hits him.
Yeah.
You have that? See it?
Oh,
Is that
it's-
a-
Oh, yeah,
Is that
Have
a
you
guy?
seen that guy?
it's a-
that guy,
legit? He's like up in
The
Detroit.
guy is an instructor, but there's a lot of the
You make a
scenarios that he
real
does that
video.
I just don't agree
But
with.
then they make TikTok videos of people trying that stuff and then they don't have that, they die.
Yeah, yeah, no, I don't agree with a lot of the things he does. And I think it's actually,
You can use the same.
it's actually dangerous for somebody that knows how to defend themselves and has the ability that he
So if
seems
she
to have
wants
to make a
ask
video telling people this is what you should do without getting any training.
What do I do?
Because then they do what you're saying,
So
they're
you'll
doing
have-
videos and stuff, but
so
what if
you're
they
gonna have
actually try it
access
in
to
real
it?
life?
Yeah.
You're
You
gonna
know
have
what I'm
access to download the app.
Yes, there's ways to
Basically, you
disarm
download the app,
in a safe,
give her your credentials.
but it takes a whole lot more than just watching a video and doing it.
Right, right.
You know?
Okay, I didn't know she had needed to.
That way she gets the education and training to.
I agree, he shouldn't be advertising, he shouldn't be putting his stuff out like that.
I don't think he should, I disagree with a lot of his videos. Thank you.
Hey, somebody, I'm Officer Geneva.
All right, drive safely.
Thank you.
When's it?
I thought I was having a date day with that. This is our, what we do for fun, but when you guys look up our name, you're gonna find that we were the first swatting case in Volusia County.
What's your name again?
I'm Erica
What's the last name?
Benfield.
Fanfield, okay.
So, we were the first swatting case in Volusia County, and what that means is a fake murder suicide call to your house. We had gates, they surround your house, you know, call, open the front door to lasers on his chest. They, put handcuffs on him and my 80-pound daughter. I was running for office for the first time, and it was the first time we ever felt really helpless. You know, when they figured out after surrounding the property and realizing there was no threat, they gave my kids 2 vouchers for a slushie. Now, this was before Chitwood was elected. This was outgoing Ben Johnson. And I was like, how does this happen? You know, that you feel like you should be the ones being protected. And in that moment, they don't know who you are. And you can live if you follow what they're saying, but in the video online, because it was reported by a few news stories, they said, ma'am, you know, restrain your dog or he'll be shot. So just think about, you know, how quickly that can happen. And if you don't think it can happen to you, I never in my life thought that would affect us. So he wants to get as many people to have that right and to exercise it. And so we don't do this for the money. We're here on Sunday. He's a church trustee. It's truly just to serve and to make sure that we protect ourselves, because constitutional carry will be on the discussion next year. I was at the Second Amendment meeting this weekend, Friday.
That would be
What's today?
fantastic.
Friday. So that means you're gonna have to see more people carrying very
I think
soon. So we
it's
start training now.
Pennsylvania or Delaware?
We're probably gonna be
Virginia.
the 25th
Virginia.
states. Now there's 24 states out of 50 that have
I'll
constitutional
give you a
carry.
call next week.
Yeah, I'm not pushing for that. I'm just making you aware of what's happening.
No, I'm gonna give you a call next week
Oh, okay.
because I have a couple checks for contributions for you.
Oh, you're so, stop it. I'm
So
here
what
as a
happens
wife.
then?
I'm here as a
I
wife.
I know, but you know, I don't talk to you often, so.
Thank you,
Yeah.
and
I have a
I'm honored to
question.
be here.
So
Yes.
what happens? You moved into your house or you were living there and then what?
Guys,
happened?
Swamp House, you know where that is? It's a restaurant on the river in
According to
St.
the
John's River.
Constitution, we
There were
shouldn't
4
need
houses from there.
Permission.
I had no idea
carry
that
our
somebody wanted to do that.
So constitutional carry can be viewed as 2 different
What if they
things. You
wanted
can
to
either
what?
carry concealed without a license or
They put
carry
in,
open.
they
But
put,
a fake call.
they put in a fake murder suicide call
At your address.
at our
Yes.
address, yeah.
And I don't even know if it was
No, not
politically
anymore.
motivated. We think it may have been from one of our kids playing
I saw some
online.
guy one time.
Yeah, because I called
Crazy.
it off right away. I was
Minnesota, walked
like, there's
into
no
a
way
coffee
anybody
shop
would
and
want to
he
run
was-
for office that
We gotta
bad.
go, we gotta
Shout
take
out
one.
to class.
He was a
Bye, guys.
If possible.
See
Bye,
ya.
guys.
All right, guys.
Thank you for being here.
God bless you. Thank you.
Bye.
Those that join, welcome to the USCCA.
So, yes, there's some states that do have open carry. Texas is one of them. A lot of the Midwest states, Wyoming, Montana, places like that, they have open carry. Their population is a lot smaller. They're, for the most part, red states. And I gotta tell you, I understand in blue states where there is large populations, where, you know, the more people are in a city, the more likelihood that a good percentage of them are criminals, right? Okay, so do you want everybody carrying open? Not really, right? However, carrying open by law-abiding Americans will deter the criminals from doing anything else. Why? Because now you're gonna, you know that the person you're attacking has got a gun on their side. They're probably trained. So
Yeah.
it will deter a criminal, right? So I believe in constitutional carry, that with time, the realization will be had that you still need training.
Well, even if you have constitutional carry in your state, do the same laws apply? Like if someone breaks into your house and you shoot them, you're still gonna need an attorney, that same thing, or will it change?
No, that's not gonna change.
That's
That's not gonna change. So constitutional carry basically just
you still need to know what you're doing.
cements our constitutional right
Right.
because of the Second Amendment, you know? Because we have the right to bear arms, and it doesn't say you have the right to bear arms if, anywhere in the Constitution.
So you won't need a permit, is what you're saying?
Exactly.
It'll just be anyone can have it and
Right.
no, there's no legality.
Anyone within, there's gonna be legalities, right? Because obviously, a person of unsound mind is still not gonna be able to have a gun. I don't want somebody of unsound mind to have a gun near me, because, you know, God knows. It could be somebody that's on medication, a bipolar person, anything like that. I don't think those people should have guns. You know what I'm saying? At
Well,
least
they're not
not.
gonna sell you a gun. Is it still, like, if you go to buy a gun, they do a background check? Or
Oh, yeah, that's
whatever?
that's gonna continue. Yeah, that's not gonna change. So Florida Statute 790, weapons and firearms. This is the Florida statute that governs the use of weapons and firearms. A couple of definitions for you guys so that you can understand the difference between a concealed firearm and a concealed weapon. There are a lot of concealed weapons that are deadly. Not all of them are firearms. Okay? So with your license, you can carry any of them.
Oh.
Doesn't just have to be a firearm. It is not a concealed firearms license, it's a concealed weapons license. So you can carry anything that is a weapon.
And, yeah, mace, pepper spray, whatever.
Well, mace and pepper spray are not deadly, you can carry those anyways. You can legally carry that anyways. You can carry up to a 3 7/5/8 inch knife with you. Those are legal to carry. Anything over that or automatic open would require a license to carry. Okay? Concealed firearm means any firearm which is carried on or about a person in such a manner as to conceal the firearm from the ordinary sight of another person. Concealed weapon means any dirk, which is a knife, metallic knuckles. Can you kill somebody with brass knuckles?
Yes.
You hit them pretty good right here on the side, they're gone, right? A slingshot is basically like a ball of rope with a handle on it. Like a tightly wound ball of rope. That's a deadly weapon too. A billy, or a tear gas gun, or chemical weapon or device. Or other deadly weapon carried on or about a person in such a manner as to conceal the weapon from the ordinary sight of another person. A machine gun means any firearm which shoots or is designed to shoot automatically more than one shot without manually reloading with a single function of the trigger. So you squeeze the trigger once and everything comes out, right? One at a time, but pop, 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 without releasing the trigger. Can you own one? According to the FOPA, which is the Firearm Owners Protection Act of 1986, yes, you can. Thank you, President Reagan. It must be manufactured prior to 1986 and be registered with the ATF, or you must have a Class 3 FFL stamp. And I'm Cuban, so say hello to my little friend. Carrying concealed weapons, 790.01. Any person carrying a concealed weapon without a concealed weapons permit commits a misdemeanor of the first degree, punishable by 1 year and or a $1,000 fine. That is a weapon. Remember the definition, weapon? Weapon doesn't necessarily include firearm. So, a concealed firearm without a concealed weapons permit commits a felony of the third degree, punishable by 5 years and or a $5,000 fine. You also lose your right to ever own a gun again. Unless you can get that felony expunged, which is really hard to do. If you have a concealed weapons permit, this does not apply to you, these two rules. Why? Because you're carrying legally, right? 790.01, continued, carrying concealed weapons. Even without a concealed weapons permit, you can carry one of the following for lawful, for purposes of lawful self-defense, okay? In a concealed manner. A self-defense chemical spray, as you said, mace, pepper spray, a non-lethal stun gun or dart firing stun gun. So as long as it's under, I believe, 50,000 joules, that is not considered a lethal weapon, okay? Or other electric weapon or device that is designed for defensive purposes. Basically designed just to stun, not kill, okay? So you guys remember watching Star Trek and the phasers set them to stun, right? Because we didn't want to kill the new aliens that we wanted to meet. So this is what that does, it stuns people, okay? Or aliens. It depends. I mean, I've never had to stun an alien. I don't think they exist, but God knows, it's a pretty big universe. Anyway, Sandra, can you read this?
The 3 most important rules. Treat every weapon as if it is loaded. Number 2, always keep your finger off the trigger until ready to fire. Number 3, never point your firearm at something you don't intend to destroy.
Thank you. So guys, you were asking about the stand your ground law a little while ago. The stand your ground law is part of a 2-part doctrine called the Castle Doctrine. Florida is one of 7 states in the Union that has that doctrine, okay? If you don't live in one of those 7 states, this does not apply. Actually, the opposite applies. So, if a criminal forcibly enters your home or occupied vehicle with the intent to cause death or great bodily harm, you may use any manner of force, including deadly force, against that person. What does that mean? Somebody breaks into my house or my car while I'm occupying them. I have the right to defend myself, including kill that person, if that's what I see is needed to protect my life or the life of my family. Obviously, I'm going to be charged with a crime. I'm going to be charged with murder, because even though he was in my house, I have to prove that it was self-defense or defense of my family, right? That's where USCCA or any other type of program like that comes in handy. USCCA is the best one out there, okay? Part 2 of the Castle Doctrine removes the duty to retreat. If you're attacked in any place you have the right to be, you don't have to turn your back on a criminal or try to run when attacked. Instead, you stand your ground and fight back, meeting force with force, including deadly force, if you reasonably believe it is necessary to prevent death or great bodily harm to yourself or others. How do you prove that it's necessary to prevent bodily harm? Anybody? You let your lawyer do that. Let your lawyer do that. Okay? You're going to, if you ever have to use your gun or something like that in self-defense, these are the things you need to do. And this should be on that card when you get your permanent card. Maybe not in so many words, but what you need to tell the officers when they arrive. Number 1, you're going to call the police. You're going to say someone has been shot if you use the gun, or someone has been hurt if you use something else. Okay? You give the location and you hang up. Never say, I just shot somebody, or I just killed somebody, or I just hit somebody over the head with a bat. Why? Because you are admitting responsibility over the crime. Okay? You're basically giving them ammunition to use against you in court. Okay? Because all 911 calls are recorded. Do not provide any information, just zip. You're not going to go to jail for not saying, hey, my name is so-and-so. You don't even have to say that. You could give your name, but why? What's the need? You're already reporting a crime, and you're giving a location. It's their responsibility to come up to that place and show up. All right? Okay. Number 2, you're going to call your lawyer. If you have a USCCA, have USCCA call the number on your membership card, and the network lawyer will be with you within 2 hours. Usually it's before then. Once your lawyer arrives, he or she is the only person that you give information about what happened to. You do not talk to the police when they arrive there. You claim the 5th. Okay? It's really hard to do. You're going to be nervous from what just happened. Even though they may take 20 minutes to get to you, you're still going to be in shock. It's really, really hard to keep your mouth shut when you're in shock. Believe it or not, it's the opposite of what people say it is. When people are in shock, they just close up. No. You start talking too much. Why? Because you fear for your safety, or you fear for your future. So you try to explain yourself away. You know what I'm saying? We got to learn how to not do that. A lot of the scenarios in the USCCA show you how to do it. And practicing and practicing and practicing makes you better at things, okay? Article 725, you have the right to use your firearm for target practice and marksmanship on target practice ranges or hunting. If you're gonna hunt, get a license for hunting. Do not carry a concealed weapon without a license. Yeah. Possession in a private conveyance. This is 790-25 continued. I touch base on certain articles in 790. It's a really large amount of laws. I touch base on the most important ones because if I had to go through the whole thing, we'd be here for days. Okay? So, possession in a private conveyance. It is lawful and it is not a violation for a person 18 years of age or older to possess a firearm within the interior of a private conveyance without a license, if the firearm or other weapon is securely encased or is otherwise not readily for accessible use. I put this in here, why? Because I am a father of 7. And 5 of them are daughters. So, when my daughters got their cars, they got their guns. And they were 18. Okay? There is no law prohibiting me as a father to put a gun in my daughter's car for her defense, and there's no law prohibiting her from using it for self-defense. Okay? So if you have children of that age, and you feel that you want to give them that extra added protection, make sure that you train them or get them trained in the use of firearms, which I've done with all my children. Make sure that the gun is securely encased. It can't be on their person, it can't be open on their seat, it can't be on their dash. There's certain rules that you have to follow. It could be in the glove compartment. It could be fully loaded with a magazine and chambered and ready to go. Just open your console or glove compartment, grab the gun and shoot. That's how I have it for my kids. That's how I recommend people have them, but take the time to train them or have them trained. Okay? You can carry a legal firearm other than a handgun anywhere in a private conveyance when such a firearm is being carried for lawful use. So for example, I can have a rack like, Dukes of Hazzard used to have the metal rack on the back window and put my firearms there as long as it is a rifle, a shotgun. Cannot be a fully automatic rifle because that is not a legal firearm, right? And even if I had a pre-1986 machine gun, I couldn't have it there. Because what would be the lawful use of me having a machine gun in the back window of my car? It's no good for hunting, right? Security encased could mean any one of these things. So glove compartment or console. Your employer does not have, this is 792.51, your employer does not have the right to restrict you from having a firearm safely stored in your vehicle, even in their own parking lot. So, if you work for an employer that is not a federal employer, like post office or airport or any one of those places that is considered federal property, they don't have the right to tell you you can't have your gun in your car. You can actually sue them and win. Any policy against you having your gun safely stored in your car goes against Florida law, and It's them breaking the law, okay? Can you use your concealed firearm in self-defense while under the influence?
Probably not.
Shouldn't.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
You can. As I was explaining to you, you can't go into a bar or any place of nuisance with your gun, but on the way out, if you're almost at your door and you see an attack coming, you can open your car, grab your gun, and defend yourself. You see what I'm saying? Nothing against it. Just make sure you're not too drunk and you're not seeing fairies or something like that. You're actually defending your life, right?
Yes.
Should you carry a gun if you know you're going to drink enough to look like this guy over here,
Oh, Lord,
Mr. Contortionist? No, obviously. But 790-151-5 says that you can protect yourself while under the influence of alcohol. Okay? Here's the thing. Legal marijuana use is fine as long as you have a card. But using any other drug that is not prescribed to you is not legal. So, you can't go do 2 lines of coke, have a couple beers, and defend yourself. Why? Because they're going to do a drug test on you. And guess what you just did? You just broke the law. You broke the law by having a gun with you when you did the 2 lines of coke. You know what I'm saying? So,
broke the law, just having a coke.
yeah. Safe storage of firearms. Make sure your firearm doesn't end up in the hands of a child under 16 years of age. Keep it on your person or in a safe. This child meaning not your own. You have the right to teach your children from the day they're born to hold a gun and squeeze the trigger as a parent. Okay? What you don't have the right is to have guns around kids that are not yours. Alright? It's a misdemeanor. It is a misdemeanor of the 2nd degree if you fail to store a firearm in the required manner and as a result thereof a minor gains access of the firearm without the lawful permission of the minor's parent or person having charge of the minor, and possesses or exhibits it without the supervision required by law in a public place or in a rude, careless, angry, or threatening manner. You're responsible for that child having that gun in their hands. This does not apply if the minor obtains the firearm as a result of an unlawful entry by any person. So if you get robbed, your gun gets stolen from your house or your vehicle, you report it stolen, you're not responsible because you made a report. The person responsible is the one who stole it. It could be the kid. So let me give you a scenario. I have my son, who's 16, 17 now. His 15, 16-year-old friend comes over. I have my guns put away. But I see that that one's missing. I know my son didn't give it to him. Right? They know better than that. He acquired it as a theft. So what do I need to do? It's my friend, my son's friend, but dude, I'm going to report it, and you're going to be charged with theft. I don't care who you are. You know? Should I call the parents and say, hey, your son took my gun? Yes. That doesn't mean I'm not reporting it stolen because it's my ass on the line, right? Okay. Youth handgun policy. When you buy a gun in the United States, you're given a brochure, and that brochure is the youth handgun policy from the ATF. Any store that doesn't give you that is breaking the law. Okay? It is unlawful and punishable by imprisonment and fine for any adult to store or leave a firearm in any place within the reach or ease of access of a minor under 18 years of age, or to knowingly sell or otherwise transfer ownership or possession of a firearm to a minor or a person of unsound mind. Bruno, can you read this?
The three most important rules. Rule number 1, treat every weapon as a defeated load. Number 2, always keep your finger off the trigger until you're ready to fire. Number 3, never point your firearm at something you don't intend to destroy.
Thank you very much, Bruno. How many concealed firearms can you carry at the same time without breaking the law?
How many ones?
How many concealed firearms?
No, I don't remember. Any?
If you can carry 50 pounds worth of firearms, go ahead and carry them. They have to be concealed, but you can carry them. There's no limit.
No limit.
These are places you don't want to carry your firearm. Any place where there's a posted no weapons allowed sign. In town, the only place that I know is Target.
That has a sign that says no weapon.
Yeah. The post office or its parking lot, never carry a gun into the post office or its parking lot. And that means a post office that is located at a shopping center also. The entire shopping center parking lot becomes federal property, even though it's only one little store in the shopping center. Do not park your car there with a gun in it. Park across the street. Cross the street walking, go to the post office, go back, get in your car, okay? Courthouses, obviously, police departments, school property, that includes the entire campus. Still not legal for firearms to be carried on school property unless you are a teacher that has been licensed to carry, or you are a school resource officer, okay? Or another person's property without their permission. He spoke a little bit about situational awareness, and I like to go into it a little bit. It's just a few slides. Believe it or not, the most important part of self-defense is not needing to defend yourself at all. Okay? If you can train yourself to recognize a threat, evade that threat, you evade that threat before you need to act against it. You can defend yourself and loved ones by creating space between you and the perceived threat. You can avoid becoming a victim just by being situationally aware. So, as he said, being situationally aware, right? So, coffee shop scenario, somebody walks in with a gun. Were you sitting in the right place? Did you scope out the exits? Do you know how you're going to get out? Can you create another exit? All these things are things that you need to think about when you're sitting down at a place to eat. Why? Because you never know. You never know. Right? It takes some time to make it second nature, but I do that already naturally. I walk into a restaurant and I'm going to look for a place where my back is against the wall and I'm looking at the exit. And as I'm walking in, I'm looking at where the kitchen is because what? The kitchen has an exit. You see what I'm saying? I'm also looking at any big or strong piece of iron or something like a fire extinguisher or something that I can throw through a window and create another exit. By the time I sit down, I already know how the hell I'm going to get out of there. If anything happens, right? So, it's something to keep in mind. Some things to help you with this is, do you guys remember hearing any of these phrases growing up? If so, what do they mean to you? Keep your head on a swivel.
Always be aware.
Watch your step. Look before you leap. Get your head out of the sand. Look both ways before crossing the road. We see this stuff and we kind of say it's, I heard that a million times growing up. My dad told me look both ways before crossing the road all the time. Well, it made sense. And it makes sense now in this life that we live. The more attention that we pay to things going on around us, the better that our day is going to go. As he said, your body can't go where your mind hasn't been, right? Even as you're walking, your eyes are looking everywhere. So you're going to go over that step. If your mind doesn't process that, guess what? You're going to get to the step and you're going to hit your chin on the floor, right? So, we have common sense. That's what these things create. These phrases that we've heard throughout our life and following them have created common sense. The next thing that we need is instinct. Instinct plays a big part in reacting to becoming aware of a potentially dangerous situation. How about the following phrases? Do they ring a bell? They made my antenna go up. Sent chill down my spine. Put me on edge. Made my skin crawl. These are instincts. When you feel one of these things, it's your instincts telling you something is not right. Using this in combination with common sense, you have a better chance of surviving something. Why? Because your instincts tell you something's wrong, and common sense is going to tell you, listen, there's a doorway right here, let me get the hell out, right? Okay, if you can do that, do that. A lot of times you're alone, you can actually get out of there, but if you got 2 or 3 kids, you can't. Now you have to prepare yourself for acting, right? So using a combination of instinct and common sense, you can create a level of situational awareness that will in fact keep you and your loved ones safe by, number 1, avoiding trouble if possible. Number 2, being prepared to act by awareness of the situation. And number 3, which to me is the most important, having the proper training. Okay? Any questions on situational awareness? No? Okay. Did I explain that in a way that was easy to understand? Okay. So, when you're practicing your target practice shooting, right? When you're target practicing, there are areas that you want to make sure you can hit. Okay, so you can have a torso target like that, which basically is this depicted there, right? Everything behind the rib cage and inside the skull, those are deadly areas. Okay, so your lungs, your heart, your liver, your spleen, not your spleen, but your kidneys, places like that. So this right here on the torso target, from here to here, anywhere you hit that, it could be a fatal shot. And obviously, right there, right? So I tell people to practice shooting in this area. Why? It's a larger area. It's going to be a lot easier to hit this area than here, right? So when you're practicing, I would suggest this type of target. It's reusable to a certain extent. You can shoot this 100 times, put 100 little stickers on there, and shoot it again, right? So I sell these $275 at my shop if you want them. When you go shooting, shoot a target that is going to simulate what you may need to shoot when you're defending yourself. You could shoot a paper plate, you could shoot one of those fancy fluorescent targets. You can shoot those, that's fine, you know, it'll teach you with aiming. But if you're preparing for self-defense, you want to make sure that you're as close as to what you might have to defend yourself from when you're shooting, right? Okay. So this is another picture, and this one shows what body armor covers. You can see that the intestines are basically completely open to shoot. Why? Because those shots are survivable, right? From here up, the entire torso is covered, and then the head with a helmet. So Joanne, would you like to read?
Sure. The 3 most important rules. 1, treat every weapon as if it is loaded. 2, always keep your finger off the trigger until ready to fire. 3, never point your firearm at something you don't intend to destroy.
Thank you. Only pull your handgun if absolutely necessary. Always use defense ammo for carrying. Do not threaten anyone with your gun. What is a threat? So, this, I am legally carrying my gun like this with a concealed permit. Because the gun is not visible there's an imprint, but the gun is not visible, right? Okay, so can I do this to somebody? That is a threat, okay? But I'm at Walmart, Publix, Winn-Dixie, and I grab something from the top shelf. What just happened? My gun was visible for a second, right? Okay? I adjusted, I did not threaten anybody. That is legal. Obviously, if you see somebody there and you're looking at them and doing like this and your gun shows, that's a threat now. But if you unintentionally showed your gun for a second, as a matter of fact, you can even fix your shirt. Walking down the aisle like this, for a second it showed you were just fixing your shirt. You see what I'm saying? You're not showing intention of threatening somebody. Okay? Safes. There's not too much to talk about safes. Get one. There's different ones. Biometric, there's, digital locks, there's actually rotary locks, all types of stuff like that, combination locks. So it's important to have one. Actions and parts. Do any of you know what the two types of pistol or revolver actions are?
You mean like automatic or?
No, single action or
Double action.
double action. Okay.
Revolver is the one that's single action.
How to determine the action? On a single action revolver, like this one, and I'm going to aim it towards that target or that target. I'm never going to aim the gun towards you, okay? So, on a single action revolver, the hammer has to be pulled back physically every time that you squeeze the trigger. Otherwise, you can squeeze that trigger all you want and nothing will happen. You have to pull the hammer back in order for it to fire, okay? On a double action revolver, you can shoot a double action revolver single action or double action. What does that mean, that you can shoot a single action? You can physically pull the hammer back, lock it in place, and squeeze the trigger, or you can just squeeze through the trigger. And the double action, what it does is that it releases the firing, and it pulls the hammer back, releases the firing pin so that it fires each time, okay? Now, it's almost the same with pistols. There are single action pistols and there are double action pistols and there's single double action pistols. But those are the only two actions that you're going to ever find other than automatic, which is a whole set of rules, right? On a pistol, for example, this one here is single action. So you see that I'm squeezing the trigger and nothing is happening, right? For anything to happen, the slide has to be pulled back, and then again, right? The difference is that there are pistols that every time that you squeeze the trigger, the hammer releases, right? That doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to fire something. If there's nothing in the chamber, it's not going to fire, right? But even this single action pistol shoots semi-automatic once it's loaded. This is the gun you guys are going to be shooting today, okay? So Walther PPQ 22. Once you put your loaded magazine in and you cycle the slide, you now are chambered. You squeeze the trigger, the slide comes back, releases a spent cartridge, and simultaneously loads a new one. It's ready to fire again. So basically, it's automatically or semi-automatically reloading for you every time you squeeze the trigger. But it's still a single action pistol.
Right.
Okay?
The three most important rules. Treat every weapon as if it is loaded. Always keep your finger off the trigger until ready to fire. Never point your firearm at something you don't intend to destroy.
Thank you. Never get shot with your own gun. That is very, very important, people. Never get shot with your own gun. Always use defense ammo. Believe it or not, it's happened. many, many times. Okay? Even police officers have been shot by their own guns. Always use defense ammo for carrying, always keep one in the chamber. Guns don't kill people, people kill people. All right, so what is this called? It's called a magazine. It is not called a clip. It is not called anything other than a magazine. A lot of people use different names, but that's the right name, it's magazine. And it is made up of 5 components. The components are the body, which is this external body. The magazine spring, which is inside. The follower, which is this part on top of the spring. Inside of here, there's a retainer that has a little button that when you squeeze that button, you can remove the floor plate. Why can you remove a floor plate in a magazine? Why can't you take it apart? You can take a magazine apart because you're actually supposed to clean these things. Nobody does. You know, you're supposed to clean this. If you don't have a clean magazine, after you shoot, say, 1,000, 2,000 rounds with this magazine, dirt is going to get in here. It's not going to act properly. You're going to start getting jammed ammo, jammed cartridges inside your gun, and you don't want that. Okay? So clean your magazine. It's not that hard to do. The best way to store ammunition is in its factory box or in a box expressly made for that use. For those of you who signed up for the Uscca, you were given an ammo box for the elite, right? Okay. So as you can tell, this ammo box is gasketed. There's a gasket right here. And when you put your ammo in there and you close it, it's safe from certain things. But it's still not safe from condensation. And condensation is an ammo killer. Okay? So, what do? I have ammo boxes that are full in here, but I also have factory boxes here. The reason that my ammo doesn't go bad is because this room is climatized. I have an air conditioning unit. So it stays at around 72 to 75 degrees year long. Never have a problem because it's a cool, dry place, right? There is no such thing as a shelf life for ammunition. You could have ammo that's 100 years old and still fires, as long as it was kept in a cool, dry place. The shelf life is what you make it, okay? So, don't be afraid to pay $30 for some 9mm that you're not going to all use today. It could be 6 years before you use that box. If you got a good price today, buy it. There's no reason why you shouldn't. Just keep it in a cool, dry place. Okay?
So any house environment is fine.
Yeah. What are the 2 types of cartridges? Center fire and rim fire. Any type of cartridge that has a little button in the back like that, in the middle, that's called a center fire. If it does not have that, and it looks more like this one, that is a rim fire. What that means is that the primer that ignites the powder to expel the round, or the bullet, is, in this case, it's pinched right in the rim. In this case, it's got a little primer in the middle. You just insert it in there, it actually goes in by pressure. So those are the differences between center fire and rim fire. The correct name for what everybody calls a bullet is cartridge. The bullet is only the projectile, which it goes inside the case that carries powder and has a primer. So there are 4 components. The bullet, which is only the tip of it, the case, the powder, and the primer. In this case, this is a center fire cartridge, so the primer is right in the middle like the ones that I showed you. And this is the anatomy of a pew. Primer is the bang button. The magical fire dust is the powder. The metal holdy thingy is the case. And the freedom seed is the bullet. That's a joke, obviously. But it's fun to talk about. What do the grains mean? When you buy a 9mm 115 grain as opposed to a 9mm 147 grain. This is what it means. The grain describes the weight of the projectile or the bullet only, not the powder charge. There are 437.5 grains in an ounce. The lighter the bullet, the faster it travels. So, if I have a 200 grain 45, you can tell on the box that it says 856 feet per second. That's the speed that it's going to travel. But then I have a 65 grain 9mm that travels at 1650 feet per second. There's no difference in the powder charge, same powder charge, but the bullet is less than half the weight, so it travels much faster, right? Why do we use defense ammo for carrying? We use defense ammo for carrying because it will stop within the threat. You are responsible for that projectile once it leaves the muzzle of your gun. The muzzle of your gun is the forwardmost part of the barrel. Once that projectile leaves here, you are responsible for everything that it does. Whether you're in a practice scenario at a range or you are defending your life. So, it's very important to carry the type of ammunition that when you shoot a threat, is it too cold?
Oh,
You
this
want me
is
to-
me.
No, okay.
When you're going to try to stop a threat, you got to make sure that the round that you shoot or the bullet that you shoot stops within that threat. Okay? Why? If it goes through that threat and hits something behind it or someone behind it that happens to be an innocent bystander, guess what? You defended yourself against this one, but you murdered the other one. So you're going to go to jail for a long time.
That
Right.
happened in the mall, they shoot the suspect and kill the girl at the dress.
Exactly. So, it's very important to carry either jacketed hollow points, which is what the ones in white are, or, sorry, never carry the ones in yellow. The FMJs don't ever carry that for protection. Use those for practice. The FMJ is a full metal jacket. It's the one that looks like that one. Completely sealed copper jacket or metal jacket for practice. If it has a hole in the middle, that's a hollow point. Like, for example, that's a hollow point.
Oh, yeah.
Okay?
So that's for practice or for?
This is for defense.
That's for
The
defense.
hollow is defense.
Yes.
So hollow is defense, but there's other defense rounds that are coming out now that I'm going to talk to you about in a little bit. So that's a hollow point. This is a full metal jacket, so we'll be close, right?
We want the hollow.
Hollow point, full metal jacket.
And solid.
Full metal jacket.
Yeah.
So the hollow point is designed to mushroom on impact. So it's going to hit, it's going to go straight through flesh. So let's say, for example, you shot somebody right here, where the hollow point is still going to go through. But if you shoot somebody here where you're supposed to be shooting, as soon as it hits bone, it's going to stop. Okay? So, this picture shows 10 shots having been fired. They started with what's in yellow first, which is the FMJs, successively creating a bigger and bigger track or cavity in this ballistic gel for the next rounds to go through. So, shot number 1 ended here, that was with FMJ, practice ammunition. Shot number 2 ended there, shot number 3 here, shots 4 and 5 went straight through both ballistic gels. This is 16 inches and 16 inches, 32 inches wide.
Let me ask you, how do you know what bullet to take with you to the range?
FMJs.
What?
FMJs,
Full metal jacket.
yeah.
They go to the range.
Yes.
Yep,
The hollows.
are the ones that you carry for defense.
Oh, okay.
After they shot those 5 shots, with the FMJs that created already a cavity, they started shooting with what's in white. First and second shot ended within the first 16, 15 inches. Fourth and fifth shot went through, obviously, cavity already created, less resistance, so they went through and stopped still within the first quarter of the second ballistic gel. Ballistic gel is meant to simulate flesh, not bone, right? But an FMJ will definitely go through bone. We know that because there's been tests that have been done. You can line up about 10 sheets of drywall or 6 sheets of half-inch plywood. We'll go through all of them. Your bone is not stronger than plywood. Okay? Carry hollow points, or this one looks like an FMJ, but it's not. This is called a frangible bullet. So what that is, it's powdered copper with a polymer jacket. It's compressed powdered copper. Okay? When this impacts a hard surface, it disintegrates. Right there, that wall would stop this. Okay? So for a home defense or personal defense scenario, this is what I would recommend, even more so than a hollow point, because it will definitely stop within the thread. Okay?
So what do you call those? Copper?
Frangible.
Frangible.
Yeah. Recoil anticipation, which he lightly touched on, right? This is something that we all need to combat, and I'm going to show you one dry fire technique to do to help you get on that road, okay? Recoil anticipation is the natural desire to counteract an unnatural explosion in the hands that causes muzzle flip. What am I talking about there? So, I'm going to use one of these here. So, we are mentally prepared for an explosion before it ever happens, right? So, that's the natural desire to counteract an unnatural explosion in the hands. We already know that it's going to explode, right? So, we're ready, we're aiming, realize that my finger's not on the trigger, as the rules say, right? Okay? I'm aiming, and I'm going to get ready to fire. As I squeeze the trigger, my brain is already telling me, hey, this thing's going to jump back. So I'm already counteracting. Before I feel the explosion, I'm counteracting the explosion. So a millisecond before I squeeze the trigger, my brain is already prepared and it's doing something that's going to make my muzzle move from where I have it aimed before I squeeze the trigger, right? There's only one way that with a lot of practice, you can stop that. Not true. There's more than one way, but the one that I can teach you right now is only one, okay? I prefer this be done with an actual gun than with the practice gun, with the yellow one. You could do it with the yellow one because you're still simulating the same thing with the exception of the trigger doesn't move. Okay? Right there, I've chambered what they call a snap cap, a plastic round. Why do I do that? Because if I'm going to use my real gun, I don't want to dry fire a lot. Dry firing a real gun can ruin the pin, the firing pin. So if you use a snap cap, it avoids that, right? So I'm going to take a round, an actual live round. I'm not going to fire the live round, but I'm going to balance it on the tip of my gun, okay? Now you can do this with a coin or with a live round. As you can see in the picture here, I'm going to balance the live round on the gun. I'm going to aim and I'm going to squeeze through the trigger while keeping the round balanced on top of it. And I'm going to holster my gun, I'm going to pull it back, I'm going to cock it again, I'm going to get the round again, and I'm going to do this over and over and over and over. That's going to teach me two things. It's going to teach me how to holster and unholster my gun from the position that I'm going to carry it. It's also going to prepare me for cocking the gun, pulling the slide, chambering it, and I'm going to balance the round on top of it to avoid muzzle flip. Teach my brain that all that's going to happen is that it's going to do that fine, no problem. We're afraid of that reaction. So our brains overreact, causing our hands to do something that's not, what we should be doing, right? The most important rules: treat every firearm as if it is loaded, or every weapon as if it is loaded. Always keep your finger off the trigger until ready to fire. Never point your firearm at something you don't intend to destroy. Do we all know what our dominant eye is? Everybody know? Do you know?
Dude, I was gonna ask you, mine, I swear it's switched.
Okay, so we're going to do a dominant eye test for everybody anyways, even though you know, okay? What I want you to do is, you two pair up, you two pair up, and you and I will pair up. As a matter of fact, you pair up with me, you two pair up, okay? Come here and we're gonna show them what we're gonna do here. So I'm going to concentrate with both of my eyes. I'm going to focus on the bridge of your nose, right between your eyes. But I'm going to do that through this little triangle, okay? And I'm going to look with both eyes like that, and then slowly I'm going to bring this to my face. Do you see that one eye is covered? Okay. So, I'm right-handed, and I always shot with my right eye.
We think it is.
Until about 5 years ago, when I realized that I'm left eye dominant. So I still shoot with my right hand, but I aim with my left eye. Do the same thing with me. So make a triangle about like that, a little bit smaller. Cross your thumbs like that. Cross them out. There. Okay, now stretch your hands out completely. Aim at the bridge of my nose, with both eyes, focus, and then slowly bring your hands back.
I think so, yeah, like we did this. You're gonna do
Keep
this.
still focusing.
You know, do a little, like this.
So there. Yeah, that's what I thought.
Do it again.
I'm trying.
You don't have to cross your fingers.
Both of mine.
You just put them up against each other and make a little triangle.
Oh, I had to try.
Yeah, it looks like it's going towards your left. Okay.
Because when I got the
Do
contact.
the same thing with him.
When I got the contact for reading, I was
All
right, so how do you figure out which is-
Okay.
That's the only reason I knew mine was
So I'm looking at his nose, right?
bridge
Yeah.
of the nose.
What eye is that?
Bridge of the
With
nose.
both eyes, and then I bring it back.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so you're
Hold
right.
on, I'm not
So I have to
focused.
look at your center.
That's weird. You don't think it is, but it is.
Don't make any faces. Okay.
See, his brain told me.
I think I'm left eye dominant, dude.
If it's ending up on your left eye, then yeah.
But I just didn't know it was right eye.
Do it again with me.
What's in the third eye?
Close those doors. There. Now focus on both eyes and slowly bring your hands back.
I'm gonna try some of them.
Yeah, your left eye.
How do you know?
Because it's going to your left eye.
Because when your hands go like this,
Oh,
your eye.
okay.
It's your brain. It's your
I thought you
brain.
were closing.
We did not learn something like that.
No, it's your brain adjusting to this movement. Your brain is focusing your eyes. And the eye that dominantly sees better, that's where your hole's gonna end up.
So what will
All right.
You
So
got
I was looking on to it.
Yeah.
I had two sets of bullets, the hollow point and the solid point. On the left, I had-
Left.
Remember,
He's left.
one was to the range.
Okay?
Left.
Yeah.
Did you guys know
that?
Because we naturally think that our right
You're right too?
eye,
Yeah,
because
it's trying to
we're
go
right-
right arm, yeah.
Because we're right-handed, but it's not true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I had one.
Because the only reason I would say my right
might get me.
No, wait, as long as they get the weapon the same.
I got contacts.
Okay, so we're gonna go through,
And I thought it'd be my right, she said, no,
I need to
it's
do
my
that.
left, my left eye's down.
we're gonna go through a couple of other parts of this training here. Now that, are you right-handed?
Yeah.
You right-handed? Both of you are left eye dominant?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna teach you how I shoot when I'm the same, I'm
Right, it's an
right-handed.
anomaly, right? It's not.
No, it's actually quite normal. Yeah,
Okay.
it's actually quite normal. So, before we go into that, I want everybody to grab a pistol, one of these.
You don't have purple.
No purple.
I don't buy that big on my hand, I appreciate my little one.
No.
So, web of your hand is this area right here. This is called a dovetail. You want to make sure that the web of your hand is as far up on that dovetail as you can without it being caught by the slide. Remember, the slide is going to come back, and if your hand is, the web is too far up, it's going to bite you on the way back, right? Making a cut on the web of your hand, all right? So, web of your hand. Then you wrap these 3 fingers around the grip, and you keep your finger off the trigger until ready to fire, right? Okay. Once you have this hand there, with this gun, you're not going to get barely any recoil, but you're the one that you're going to be shooting afterwards, yes, right? So, you want to, this other hand wants to cover the rest of this area. And how I line mine up is like that. I put my right thumb, since I'm right-handed, above my left thumb, and basically just wrap the hand like that. That looks good. Switch your thumbs.
Oh,
There,
I can't remember.
That one right there.
Like that?
Yeah.
Like
That
that.
looks good.
This one
Yeah,
is
it's
Your
Yeah,
right's gonna be
you're fine.
on top of your left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That looks good.
Do I have to minutes to go to my car?
Yes,
I'm sorry.
that's okay.
I might go put that back in.
So that's how you want to grip your gun. And you can hold on to those for a little bit. Trigger control. Trigger control is about where to place your finger on the trigger. What part of your shooting finger or firing finger or index finger goes on the trigger. Why is that important? So if I take this gun, right, I'm aiming and I take my trigger finger and I sink it too far in. When I pull the trigger, it's going to pull the muzzle of my gun to the right. If I go not too far in and I pull the trigger, it's going to pull the muzzle of my gun to the left. So it's going to take me off target. The place you want to put your finger is in this first segment of your finger, right in the middle. That's where the trigger should be. Okay? That way, when you squeeze the trigger, the muzzle is not going anywhere. Okay? I'm going to repeat that for John.
Okay.
People in the neighborhood know that I got a lot of guns and that I shoot a lot, and they can get shot. So.
I
Definitely,
Then it was off.
No, listen, I door came right open.
Yes, because you're next to the car with the key.
Yes, that totally confused me when I had a little car. I go to it and unlock it. I'm like, why does this thing lock me and unlock it?
What the hell is that?
So Joanne, we were discussing trigger control.
Technology.
Trigger control is where you place your finger on the trigger when you're ready to fire. Okay? You need to keep the trigger in this middle of this first segment of your finger when you're firing. And the reason for that is if you go too far in or too far out, you're going to have one or two things happen. If you're too far in, when you squeeze the trigger, it pulls the muscle to the muzzle of the gun to the right before you fire, taking you off target. If you go not too far in or not far in enough, it's going to pull it to the left when you fire. Okay?
Okay.
So keeping it right in the middle and squeezing the trigger back is going to make you more accurate because it keeps your muzzle aimed at the target without any arc. Okay? And this is an example of him squeezing the trigger without the muzzle moving too much, because he's got the finger in the right place, right? There's a couple stances that, well, 3 stances that I want to talk to you about. The isosceles stance, when firing, is basically a triangle, named after the isosceles triangle, right? So your shoulders, or your feet, shoulder width apart, right? You grab the gun with both hands, so you just made a triangle, right? So what you want to do is you want to do the isosceles, make your triangle, and then what I recommend is a bit of a lean forward before you fire. Why? Different guns have different recoil. Bigger the gun, the more the recoil. If you have a bit of a lean forward, it gives you an advantage that when the recoil happens, it's not pushing you back from the center of gravity, okay? So, that lean forward is important with high caliber guns, and I mean, I recommend it with all of them, okay? Then you have what's called a Weaver stance. A Weaver stance is basically the same stance with a difference. You're a little bit like, it's more like a boxing stance. You see, you don't box like this. No, you box like this, right? So, it gives you a little bit more leverage on your rear leg, so that when you're firing, if you have a lot of recoil, you can sustain your balance with this back leg, right? So you're kind of shooting sideways a little bit, right? But it gives you that added, the added benefit of balance, right? Forward lean is important to me in every stance, okay? And then you have the strong hand stance. So if you're a right-handed shooter, right? And you're aiming, that's a one-hand aim. The strong hand stance is keeping a hand free. And this hand free is used in self-defense to push an attacker out of the way. Okay, so you pull your gun from your holster, right? You notice an attacker coming, you pull your gun from, if it's a knife, maybe you want to try to, you know, move the knife out of the way instead of shooting somebody, right? Honestly, I personally, I see a knife, I'm shooting the guy in the head. But I gotta, you know, tell you guys that you have the option. So, I see an attack, I'm gonna pull my gun, and I'm gonna get my hand like this, and I'm gonna be ready. So that when he comes close enough, or if I didn't have time to completely aim and I don't want to fire because I'm not sure what's beyond or beside that target, which I need to know before I squeeze the trigger. Okay? Why? Because I'm responsible for that bullet. As soon as it leaves the muzzle of my gun, I'm responsible for everything that it does. So I need to make sure what is behind and beside my target. Right? And then make a choice depending on that. But if I'm like this, and I'm ready to fend off an attacker, right? That's the strong hand stance, okay? We're almost ready to qualify you. You will each fire 4 shots into a paper target at 10 feet. If you've listened to my instruction, you'll be able to land all 4 shots in the designated area. Trigger finger placement is important. We just discussed that. Always use the center of the first segment of your finger when squeezing the trigger. And squeeze the trigger. Don't pull it, don't jerk it. Squeeze the trigger, okay? It will help you with arc of movement. Arc of movement is when you are too far in or too far out, depending on which way. When you squeeze the trigger, it'll either pull your muzzle left or right, okay? After aligning your sights with the target, shift your focus to the front sight. It's important to do that. Why? Because that will keep you focused on the front of that gun or the muzzle of that gun not moving. You've already aligned your target. Now you're shifting your focus from the rear sight to the front sight. The rear sight will become blurry in your vision, and so will the target. But you've already aligned it. Now you're keeping control of the muzzle not moving by focusing on the front sight. Okay? A father's creed: I will defend my family from harm no matter the consequence. Francisco de la Torre. I know that guy personally. It's me. Sight alignment. This is the picture that you need to see when you're aiming your gun. Okay? So, the gray part is the rear sight on the top of your gun, and the black in the middle, that is the front sight. When you're aiming your gun, make sure that the rear sight and the front sight are perfectly level across the top. Okay? If you're seeing the top of that front sight down here, your shot is going to go down. It's not going to go and hit the target. It's going to go down. And in 10 feet, you'll be 4 to 6 inches off. Okay? So, top of the front sight, top of the back sight, perfectly aligned one with the other, and your sight, with your eyes and the target. Okay? This is more or less what you're going to be looking at when you do align your target. Right? You got the rear sight, the front sight is the yellow dot, the orange dot, and beyond that, you have a blurry target, but you also have a blurry rear sight, don't you? The only one that's in focus is the front sight. That's what you need to see before you squeeze the trigger. Okay? I don't care if it takes each of you 5 minutes to shoot the 4 shots. I just want you to make sure that you place them correctly and that you feel good with what you've done. Also, if you take the time and I pay attention to what you're doing, I can correct you as you go. I'm going to be very kind about it. I'm not going to say you're an idiot. No. I'm going to say this is what you need to do. Okay? All right.
So you want the target beyond or behind
Stand here and aim at this target. About right here. That's how far more or less you're going to be from the target. So what you want to do is make sure that this and this, the top, is even across the top.
no.
You also want to see that front sight right through that groove in the back, have the same amount of airspace on both sides.
And if I'm pointing at the X, do I want to see
If you're pointing
right
at
in
the X,
middle of the X?
the middle of the X needs to be up on top.
Right there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay?
I got it.
Treat every firearm or every weapon as if it is loaded. Always keep your finger off the trigger until ready to fire. Never point your firearm at something you don't intend to destroy. It's like American Express. You never leave home without it. Once you have your concealed weapons permit, I recommend that you make it a habit to carry your gun with you at all times. Unless you're going into one of those 5 or 6 places that we mentioned, you don't carry them. And then you just have to adjust for that. Okay? Always use defense ammo for carrying. I recommend, personally, frangible ammo. I have plenty in stock at my store, but other than that, hollow points for carrying. Okay? Target practice as often as you can. I recommend my students get into a range at least once a month. At least. That means more than once is better. Okay? And again, you do not have to spend the entire day at the range. If you go for an hour, and in that hour you shoot 10 shots, you're doing a fantastic job. Okay? It's going to cost you $20 to go to the range, or maybe there's some that are $10, some indoor ranges that are $10, and it'll cost you just 10 rounds. Right now, ammo is expensive. So if you pay, say, $35 for a box of 9mm, you're spending, what, $7 or $8 in ammo? Instead of $35 in ammo, by spending the whole box that you really didn't do much about. Take your time. Shoot one shot, adjust whatever you did wrong. Pay attention to what you're doing. Use the principles that I've shown you here. Grab the gun properly when it pertains to the grip. Okay? Finger on the trigger in the right position. Aligning your targets properly, your sights properly. The next thing that you need to keep in mind is finding the wall. Okay, what does that mean, find the wall? On this pistol right here, which is the one you guys are going to use. Okay? So, as you can tell, there's a lot of space before that trigger finds the break. The break is what I call the wall. Okay? The break is right before you release the hammer. Okay? Some pistols, this part of that movement is spongy or spring-like. Okay? If you learn on that pistol where that break is, you are more prepared. That break also happens to be the reset of the trigger. So, when you do get into rapid fire practice, knowing the reset of your gun's trigger is important because you don't lose a lot of time releasing the entire trigger. You understand? You only release the trigger to the reset, which is right here. Okay? So, slowly bring the trigger, squeezing it back to where you have a bit of resistance. That's the wall. Why do I tell you to do that? Because if you start just squeezing through, you're going to be off target. And you're going to be dissatisfied with your shot when all you have to adjust is that one thing. Take your time to come to the wall before squeezing through the break. Okay? When you shoot your first shot out there, you're going to realize exactly what I'm talking about. And I'll mention it again. Okay? Final thoughts. Before we go put some holes in your targets, is there anything that you would like me to clarify? Or anything you want me to go over again? Anything at all?
Do you have any ear protection?
Yeah. No, we're not going just yet. I need you guys to answer the 15 questions and also fill out the...
You want us to take it out here?
No, they're for you to keep. Huh? Oh,
So this is the nursing room, there's a couple of them. I'm old, I'm having a day. Okay, see, I got the 2 questions.
good job. Except it's
I think so.
790.
Oh,
Awesome, thank you.
So we need a pen name.
I actually have to give you guys both signed up, right?
oh yeah, I did too.
She signed up, but he said we can share the NCP, whatever that is.
Oh, the UCC, yeah.
Okay, so there's 1, 2,
Oh.
3, 4. So fill those out too and then put them in there.
Okay, I just gotta get a
Do
pen.
you need a pen?
Yeah, that's,
Well, we took my pen.
Oh,
The other guy, when I signed up.
We took your pen.
Yeah.
Your other 2 tickets for joining.
So that's mine, this is your book, right?
Keeping the gun in that direction, finger off the trigger. You're going to go ahead and pull the magazine and leave the magazine locked in the breech open position, okay? The slide in the breech open position. You're going to take 4 rounds. This magazine has a little assist button, Joanne. got a little assist button on the side. See that? And then it has this groove. That's where the cartridge gets started, okay? And you're gonna load 4 rounds, like so. Now when I'm finished, I'm gonna pull the magazine out and leave it like I just said, and I'm gonna leave the breech open, okay? The next person, all they have to do is load 4 rounds and repeat the process at the end. Breech open, magazine removed, okay? So follow what I'm doing. I am going to put my magazine in. This lever releases the slide. It is now chambered and ready to fire, okay? I'm going to take this target on this side, and I'm going to aim for each shot, focusing on my front sight. Okay. Now, already the breech is open. That happens every time that you're done shooting your rounds in a pistol. Okay? Remove the magazine, set it to one side, and leave the pistol aiming in that direction. Okay? So the next shooter, let's do Sandra.
But I know that's where the longer
Okay. Now for the next shot, keep finger off the trigger. Line your targets again. I honestly don't know where it hit, but it was somewhere on the wall, for sure. Okay, so again. Okay, that one hit on paper.
Yeah, I see it.
Okay, let's do this again. Remember, finger off the trigger until ready to fire. So you were shooting too high. I just found where it was. The 2 up above,
Yeah.
that's where it hit. Okay? Now, remember, remove the magazine. You said you have glasses? So, that lever, change one.
Yep.
Whenever you're ready. You can use the Weaver, which is what you're doing now, or you can do the isosceles, either one.
Do a little forward lean.
Forward lean is nice to practice all the time. This is not a very powerful handgun, so it's not going to give you too much recoil, but it's good to keep that habit. You know what I mean?
I'm trying to figure out if I like. I think I like this a little better.
I like it better
So
like
yeah,
that.
so this lever here, safety.
No safety. Just safety is your finger.
Okay.
If you don't squeeze the trigger, nothing's going to happen. Remember, aim for each shot. Realign your target. That last one was the best.
Yeah.
Then press this.
Yep. Then leave the magazine there. Come to the side. Good job. All right.
Better.
But then you got better, yeah. So, remember, aiming for each shot is really, really important. 22 ammunition is cheap. It's okay to waste a little bit. But when it comes to your personal training, you're going to do better by taking the time to aim for each shot and making sure that you correct yourself with each different scenario. Like if you realize that maybe what you're doing is shifting the front sight a little bit or something, if you pay attention and you go slow, you'll be able to. Don't forget, finding the wall is important because that alone will move the muzzle of your gun if you don't do that before you fire. And in both cases, I noticed that you did not find a wall the first and second shot. And you on the second shot didn't find a wall. So it's important to pay attention to each movement that you do, okay? So now, finger off the trigger at the ready to fire. So keep the finger off to make yourself safe and everybody around you, right? So rear sight of the rear sight. Okay, whenever you're ready, go ahead. Good. Nice. Now do this again, always, the same procedure, over and over, take your time for each shot, okay? Don't forget to find the wall before you squeeze through. Good. Go. Okay. Your stand is good. The gun probably has the shakes, I don't know. That is your circle, right? Left hand? Yeah, I think I got this. So, your target is the one in the middle? Your wife is female out too. So now,
I've never shot her.
slight release there. Once you release that, it's going to be loaded.
Shotgun.
Okay. And this is your target over here.
One of them like how to do a little bit.
I say, give me a goose or a duck, I'll be fine.